place, Richmond, is quite the cheery little spot.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Grade 8 Events. I'm your host, Delaney Hall. If you've been with me before, you may have noticed that was a cute little new opening that we have. Big thanks to our one of our graphics producers, Seth, for making that for us, just to showcase a little bit of what I do around the city and all the fun events that I love to highlight throughout the years. But today's story is a really fun one. There is a new immersive exhibit open in Shore Pump called Claude Monet, the Immersive Experience. Of course, Claude Monet, the famous French artist. I didn't know a lot about Monet other than what you kind of learn in art class before walking in, so I really didn't have any expectations, and it blew me away. So I'm going to show you some photos and kind of walk you through what you can expect. So this actually opens today in Short Pump, right across from Short Pump Town Center. It's called the Exhibition Hub Art Center. And I believe it actually used to be like an old Lidl or old Aldi, kind of like by Mellow Mushroom, that area in Short Pump. But this is a larger than life exhibit. You'll first walk in and learn a little bit about Claude Monet himself, his timeline, his life. This is just a snapshot of a documentary, I believe. It's like, I can't remember if it's 10 minutes or like longer than that, but kind of walks you through his life to kind of set you up for what you're about to see. That's towards the beginning. The first stop, the major stop you're going to come into is this space. And this is a recreation of his art studio in France. He would welcome a lot of the residents and neighbors into his space. And so they kind of recreated it so you feel like you're in France, which is pretty cool. And I was asking the gentleman who was kind of giving me a tour, and we believe that these paintings right here are of his children. He had a wife and he had a couple of children. So I think that's what those paintings are. But if you're a Monet wizard, I need to know if that's correct. Which is pretty cool. And then you see the window here in the left kind of side column. They have a really cool 3D effect where it kind of leads you into the next portion. So you're standing in his recreated art studio, then you walk through these curtains to this scene, which is a recreated version of the gardens that he made. He was fascinated by Japanese gardens, and he went out into his yard himself and he dug these gardens, he dug the pond, he planted the flowers, and this garden became a really big inspiration for his work later on in his life. And what you can tell from this, so there's like a drawbridge, and underneath where that pond would be, it's actually I don't know, I don't even know the technology, projections, AI, and all of this moves. So you can see the fish that are kind of in the pond and they move, and it looks like it's moving water and moving fish. I was mind blown by the whole thing. Maybe you're not, but I was pretty mind blown. You can walk, you can take pictures. And then of course, in each little section, there's like a plaque that kind of describes where you are, what you're seeing. But this was a really big focal point for him. And it's kind of cool that you get to recreate that. The next segment you're going to walk into, I'm telling you, it just doesn't stop. This is 2-story projections. It's 360 degrees around, and you can kind of sit and just enjoy and see a lot of his works animated and come to life. It was very relaxing in there, I must say. I mean, it's 2 stories, full surround, very, very cool. And then you're here. So if you've ever dabbled with virtual reality, you may be fascinated by this. So these are Oculus goggles. So I believe it's for a little bit of an extra fee, but you put those goggles on and you are transported virtually into 8 of his paintings. And I did about 5 minutes of it, and I probably should have sat there for the whole 10 minutes because it was very relaxing. You really feel like you're there, and you're walking, and you're basically like, I don't want to give too much away, but you're kind of sailing, I'll say, through his paintings, and you can look around and you feel like you're really inside his mind and inside some of his paintings. Again, that's the virtual reality experience. I highly recommend it. If you've also never used the Oculus goggles, this is a really cool way to experience it because it's really unlike anything you've ever seen before. And if you've been to the Van Gogh exhibit was in this same space last year. If you went to the Van Gogh exhibit, there was also a virtual reality option. This is very, very similar. I will say the graphics on this one, like clearly they have been doing some hard work because it's pretty cool what they have come up with. But that's the virtual reality experience. And then we're back to the beginning. I didn't take a picture, but there is also an interactive space where you can create your own artwork, I believe. They also use AI to turn your face into a Claude Monet painting. I did that. I don't think it looks like me, but it's still pretty funny. But I did speak to Chuck Stoudenmeyer. He is the manager here at Exhibition Hub, more about Monet's impact. So let's take a listen.
He challenged the status quo at that time that was in practice in the Paris art salons. He and the other Impressionists used different techniques, different subjects, different lighting, different color palettes to show a view of the world that was just not seen before then.
Just not seen before. He really changed the game when it came to Impressionist art. So I know a lot of you are probably asking, how much is this going to cost me? Very valid. So I brought up the website. It's monetexpo.com/Richmond. This actually travels not only across the country, but across the world, which is pretty cool. They've just arrived in Richmond. Again, it opens today. Click this big button that says book now. It will take you down to ticket prices. So essentially, this exhibit's open Thursday through Mondays. So they're closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I believe there's differing times. For the most part, it's kind of the same. But they encourage you to get your tickets in advance online on this website because it does sell out on certain days. And last thing you want is to go on a planned day and then they're sold out of tickets. So highly recommend doing that. You can book as late as January at this point. They should be here through May. This exhibit, if they basically insinuated if they have a really good response, they may be here later, but at least through May. So you have some time to check this out. Again, it takes you about 60 to 90 minutes to really take your time and enjoy. So probably good for a rainy day once it starts getting colder outside. This is a really cool experience. Again, this is on West Broad Street in Henrico, right across from Shore Pump Town Center. I will have a full story on this coming up on 8 News at 4 and 8 News at 6, and I'll have a full write-up for you on our website, WRAC.com, with a link to all the tickets, so you'll be able to find everything right there. But that is Claude Monet, the immersive experience. Highly recommend you check it out. I had the best time. And it was so cool to get a sneak peek. All right, want to bring in our list. Of course, it's almost Halloween. And I feel like some people may think Halloween weekend is this weekend or next weekend, whatever you decide. There are Halloween-themed things happening, including the Richmond Zombie Walk, which is on Saturday. I actually did a story with the organizers of this a couple years ago. They're basically just two best buds who decided to make this, and then it has just really, really grown. This is all happening in Carytown on Saturday. It's free to walk, but if you would like to make a suggested donation of $5 to their charity, this year it's the Suicide Awareness and Prevention. That would be a great thing to do. It is family friendly, so I know it says Zombie Walk. This is family friendly. They actually have a full set of rules on their website at richmondzombiewalk.com. Basically, don't scare people that are not included. Don't be that person. Be respectful. You are going to be in Carytown, so be mindful of traffic and businesses that are open around the area. Everything starts around 1 p.m. at Bird Park Boat Lake. They're going to go over rules. There's a costume contest. And then around 2:30, they're going to walk from the Boat Lake area to Carytown, right across from the Bird Theater. They're going to walk down Carytown, down to the Kroger down there, and then back up again to the Bird Theater, I believe. The actual walk there starts around 3 o'clock. So you have some time if you want to, make a plan or all of that. But the rules are pretty funny, so I highly suggest you go check it out. A couple of years ago when I interviewed them, they had some crazy prizes for a costume contest, like very spooky and Halloween-esque themed, like very on brand for what a Richmond Zombie Walk should be, in my opinion. But that is happening on Saturday afternoon, so be sure to check that out. The Scott's Edition Pumpkin Festival is also back. That's happening Saturday at Midtown Green from noon to 6. It is free to attend, but if you're trying to eat or shop, obviously bring money. There's a costume contest, expanded kids zone, food, live music. The costume contest begins at 2 o'clock and it'll be held by the main stage there. The cutoff time for entries is 1:30. So if you are trying to be a part of the costume contest at 2, enter no later than 1:30 because otherwise you may be out of luck. There is, I believe, some rules for the most part. It looks like the main rule is that the winner will be determined by audience applause. So one winner per category. There's a pets category, kids, adults, all that kind of thing. So just be mindful of that. But that is the Scott's Edition Pumpkin Festival. Again, Midtown Green, down by the Science Museum. So if you're parking, just be mindful. A lot of the neighborhoods across the street are not far, away for parking either, but just be mindful if you're parking near someone's home. And next on the list is Lewis Ginter Harvest Fest on Sunday. So this is just a celebration of the fall harvest. This is from 10 to 2 on Sunday at Lewis Ginter. It's included in regular garden admission. You'll find live music, seasonal crafts like pumpkin painting, food, educational demonstrations to celebrate nature and the fall harvest. On lewisginter.org, they have a full list of activities and times. The live music, it looks like band karabe. I don't want to say that incorrectly, but looks like it's kind of like a fusion of a bunch of different things, which is fun. Lots of different food options as well. So that's a great option if you are just trying to get outside. I think this weekend's supposed to be very fall-like, is what Jessica Kirk keeps saying. So y'all know I'm not a meteorologist. Yes, and that's included in regular garden admission. Lastly, we have the Dominion Energy Cap Trail 10 mile and 5K on Saturday. So this is being hosted by the Virginia Capitol Trail Foundation along the Capitol Trail, of course, and proceeds benefit the foundation's work. So this is a run, and you can register day of. The prices go up a little bit. Walk-up registration is available tomorrow from 3 to 6 at Lucky Run Road Shop, on Saturday from 6:30 to 9 at the Wharf Street Lot. Online registration closes today, so just be mindful of that if you want to get in on this and not have the price hike. This is literally just on their website. You can see your price increases after October 23rd today at 11:59 p.m. So you have just hours. But that is an option, different pricing for members versus non-members, the participation guide, all that kind of stuff. There's a 10-mile option and a 5K race, run, or walk. Start times kind of vary. It looks like the 10-miler, there's a costume contest, of course. It starts at 8 o'clock. 10-miler starts at 8:30. And then the 5K costume contest, 8:30, and the 5K starts at 9. So early morning on Saturday, but I feel like if you run, you're probably already an early riser, just because it feels nice to run in the mornings. If you want to learn more about this, I just go to virginiacapitaltrail.org, click on this big fancy green button at the top, and it should bring you to all the options that you need to sign up. Again, that deadline is tonight at 11:59, so just be mindful if you are trying to sign up last minute. Okay, that is what I have for graded events this week. Again, this is just a small portion of all the fun things happening across Central Virginia. Of course, we have Halloween weekend coming up, so I'm sure there'll be a lot to cover there too. But if you have an event that you would like for us to learn about, please send us an email at news@wrec.com. We'd love to hear about it. We are also doing live interviews on 8 News at 9, so you can send us an email at interview@wrec.com, and we can see if it's a good fit for our team and learn more about you there. But for now, I will say goodbye, and we will see you next week.